Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Ministers, the Honorable Leader of Opposition, Honorable Members of Parliament, I rise this afternoon to contribute my wholehearted support to the budget of 2022-2023. Greetings and very good afternoon to my fellow Fijians present here today at home and those listening via other media. Firstly, I would like to congratulate the Nadi Rugby for its hard-fought battle against Suva and winning the semi-final of this Skipper Cup. And I know that the trophy will be traveling to West this weekend. When the Jet takes on necessary in the final. So all the best to Nadi Rugby. Mr. Speaker, sir, coming back to Budget 2023, I need to start through pronouncing how proud I am to be a part of a government that is successfully going through recovery mode after all the challenges and sacrifice made during the pandemic and floods. Fijians got the better budget for a better future, which was announced by our Fijian government last week. Mr. Speaker, sir, the National Federation Party has been always criticizing the Fijian government, and they were the first to come up with baseless criticism. Has NFP or any opposition members provided with any alternative budget? And here, Honorable Konodani talking about sense. What sense he got talking without any alternative budget or providing any alternative budget to our Minister for Economy? Mr. Speaker, sir, I was reading one of the articles by the General Secretary of NFP where she was comparing the FRE allocation from 2014 to 2022, and I can say by reading her statement that NFP has no idea. I have recently traveled around Vitilevu and rural areas and have seen major infrastructure works being completed and some underway. Around Vitilevu, Queens and Kings Highway, almost all the bridges are newly built or under construction, which was neglected by the previous governments. These bridges should have been replaced and maintained during the Rambuka government, but rather than criticizing them, they are bad partners. Furthermore, Honorable Biman Pasha said on 8th of September 2020 that he never supported the coup leaders as he adheres values and principles. So what has happened now? Mr. Speaker, sir, Mr. Speaker, sir, this shows, desperate, yeah. Mr. Speaker, sir, this shows NFP can go to any length just to try and win. They know they can't win the election on their own because they have no faith in themselves. Mr. Speaker, sir, Fijian people need a strong and dynamic leader like our Honorable Prime Minister. He cares for everyone, and with him, no one is left behind. Mr. Speaker, sir, the opposition has been denouncing our own airline, Fiji Airways, during the pandemic when FijiFirst government was trying its level best to keep our pride, Fiji's pride alive. And we're optimistic that we will thrive because the world will overcome this worst situation. But the opposition were full of criticism and caught in a time zone because they were unable to look beyond their nose and have no new ideas, in fact, no ideas. Mr. Speaker, sir, Fiji Airways is our national carrier, and it gives every Fijian honor and smile when it lands in Los Angeles, Brisbane, Sydney, and other destinations, and of course, soon Vancouver. Mr. Speaker, sir, it's the same airline which took opposition abroad for fundraising and radio talkback shows where we saw Honorable Biman run away from the Radio Tarana rather than giving some constructive answers. Mr. Speaker, sir, Honorable Gavuka has been always prizing Qantas rather than our own airline, who is not here, who is here, sorry. I hope he knows the current reality of Qantas. Mr. Speaker, sir, going back to Budget 2022-2023, allow me to commend the Honorable Minister for Economy and his team for a budget that embraces all Fijians of our nation post-pandemic. Furthermore, the government's vision for progressive development and ensuring a safe and secure Fiji, which this government has been providing over the years to our people, which matters them the most, is expressly addressed in this budget. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is a budget that says we are prepared to commit and take the action of 3.812 million to get the recovery going. As the Minister of Economy said on the first reading of the budget last week, the commentary is already changing. There is already confidence returning to the economy. We still need this public investment in infrastructure, in income support, and that's the stuff that we are doing. Tourism industry is recovering, but this isn't going to return to pre-COVID conditions at this stage, but it will return to normal soon. And we have got to support that industry because the borders are open and the travelers are returning to an economy that is robust and is growing. Mr. Speaker, one of the basic needs for every individual is affordable housing, and in this budget, the government continues to provide the long-term leases to informal resident settlements and to provide cost-sharing basis to social housing assistance for rural and maritime regions. Affordable housing brings stability, economic diversity, and improve the physical quality of the neighborhood. Hence, the FijiFirst government is working a lot on this, so every Fijian of our country has a decent housing. Mr. Speaker, sir, agriculture is the backbone of our country, and in this 2022-2023 budget, we have seen that the government is supporting the agriculture sector with other crops and livestock together with the sugarcane farming to adapt to climate change. Mr. Speaker, sir, agriculture sector was a success during the pandemic, as we have seen plenty of people returning to farms and producing fresh produce, and thanks to Ministry of Agriculture for their support and guidance. We have seen that rice farmers are increasing due to initiatives put by the ministry, and it's a better for our country. Mr. Speaker, sir, late George Washington first USA President has said, and I quote, "Agriculture is the most helpful, most useful, and most normal employment of men," unquote. The country can prosper if it has a good agricultural budget with the right-thinking leaders who encourages the people of a nation. The budget for agriculture sector during this recovery period of 64.14 million is commendable. Mr. Speaker, sir, under FijiFirst government, every Fijian child is given equal opportunity to be educated. Free education till Form 7, and after completing high school education, students can get their tertiary education through toppers and tails, which reduces the burden from poor parents. Late Gandhi said, and I quote, "If we want to reach real peace in the world, we should start educating children," unquote. This Fiji government has been instrumental in the education of every child so that we have a literate society. Budget 2022-2023 is welcomed by a vast majority of stakeholders, including our people, except for our political opponents who can't see the progress of every Fijian. Mr. Speaker, they forget the initiatives given in this 22-23 budget by our government is that no citizens are left behind. Some of the initiatives, such as giving bus fare assistance, $1 per day to every child up to year 13 whose parents' household income is less than $50,000. Is also extended to $180 for 6 months to all social welfare recipients, aftercare fund recipients, those on government pension scheme, and tertiary students. Improving survey and development process by establishment of interagency working group with all relevant stakeholders involved with the help of land development vetting committee portal, as all parties will be able to monitor and track the status of surveys. One-view GIS system will be free for all users, as before companies and individuals used to pay $2,572 per annum. This is a very important and valuable information for all. Mr. Speaker, the question is whether the opposition has read and gone through the budget thoroughly or just picking few petty issues to save their political career, because this 2022-2023 budget is largely supported by all Fijians. Mr. Speaker, sugarcane farmers has been the ball game in the Fijian political history. It's our leader, Honorable Prime Minister, who has come out clean as a whistle for the plight of the poor farmers who have been suffering before 2006. And to remind Mr. Honorable Kunitani, the sugar industry has dropped because of the non-renewal of lease. At that time, it was SDL, SBT, and Sodalpa government. Mr. Speaker, the budget 2022-2023 is a well-executed budget for all ministries, and with this budget, we will consolidate our recovery. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, as I have said, this is a country that is on its way on the journey to recovery. It will take time, but this is a country that can look back on the last few months and say we had a hell of a challenge, but we met that challenge and we supported each other. We supported each other through the health crisis, and now it's time to support each other through this rebuild phase, and we will do that. The opposition fails to understand this. FijiFirst has proven that when it's hard time, we pull collectively, we work together, we cooperate, we collaborate, and we make the difference. This is a time to celebrate what we have done, but not to rest on our glory. To be thankful for the leadership that we have had, to be thankful for the investment that has been put in through this budget as we recover and get back on our feet again. Mr. Speaker, sir, I humbly urge the opposition to support this great and take our beloved nation to a greater height. With these sentiments, once again, I thank our Honourable Prime Minister, Minister of Economy, and his team for his effort in putting a wonderful budget which can be called People's Budget, and I support the 2022-2023 budget. Thank you, and Vinaka Bakalebu.